Welcome to the Agents of the Unexplained podcast. From a haunted abandoned asylum to Sasquatch lurking in the dark woods and watching you, and all things unexplained, here are the stories from outside our realm. With your host, Bill Rigby.
Well, hello, everyone. Yes, my special guest right here, Musha Martian. Try to probe me, too. But anyhow, no, with all honesty, I got a special co-host tonight that showed up. And let me tell you a little bit about him. He's a field researcher. He's a podcaster. He's a great friend. And he just got a badge today. He threatened to arrest me, but let me bring him in.
Oh, hi. Hi, everybody.
Sean Porker is here.
Cheers.
That Mr. Sasquatch Experience himself.
That's me.
But we got more people here in the studio that are awesome. That is my mentors, both of them, even though they say they're not. Jami and Jenny.
Hello.
So,
Hello.
here's the thing. I got to do this.
You got to get it on.
Yeah, you gotta.
I got to get this on. Sean don't have one.
That's okay.
Hey, Sean.
No,
Hey, Sean, here. You can hold this.
you get the alien.
There you go.
He gets to be safe.
There. That'll work.
He's oh, God. It's going to be a long night. But no, seriously. With Jami, some people don't know you.
Some people don't. That's good.
No, that's not a good
I was
thing.
gonna say,
But they do know Jenny.
I know they know her.
You know, but with all honesty, I'm going to let you take over about what we're going to talk about. You have a special thing you want to say, too.
All right. So tonight we're going to dedicate this lecture to Fred Saluga. Fred is just an all-around great researcher, and he talks about topics within the Bigfoot world that go above and beyond.
Yes.
And he's got a very open mind, and we really appreciate that. So we dedicate this to Fred. And
yeah, love you, Fred.
Yeah. Fred knows how I feel about him.
John Wayne.
He knows 110%. I love the man. I really do. He has helped me a lot. What the hell are you doing, Sean?
whoa, that's
He's
up
excited
close
to be in
and
here.
personal.
Whoa. I think
Hey.
Sean has turned green.
I did.
I think Sean had
He's
a little
turning
too
into
much
Hulk.
to drink
No.
last night.
And today.
Okay. We believe that. But anyhow, Brian. Well, let me bring up the comments. Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Right here. Terry and I love all us guys on the screen. All of us together in
This
one
is
room.
great. Honestly, great.
We
He
love
said
you
we were
too.
going to have a surprise, and I thought Bill was getting us ice cream, but it's Sean Porker.
That's
Flavor of
even
Porker.
better.
I
am
also white
and fluffy.
Hello, Ashley. Ashley Hilt's out there too. Sandy, hello. Seriously, with that, what we're going to discuss tonight is C Seti. And I know a little bit about it. Jami and Jenny's been trying to get me more and more involved with it.
You
and
did
understand.
come. You did.
I
come
did
out
come
with this,
on
yes.
one night,
Yes.
and we're going to do it again. We did have plans to do it one other time,
Mhm.
but the weather didn't cooperate. I think Jenny says I didn't want to go, so let it rain, let it rain.
No.
But
I
anyhow,
always wanna
still
get out
talking
there.
about it.
So, I mean, people are going to wonder how we've gone from Bigfoot to our C Seti, actually CE5 meditations that we call them. But basically, we view it all as the unknown. So, the
Yes.
prayer, I had a prayer with my father that had turned into a Bigfoot experience, or so I believed. So, I believed that the power of our thought and the power of our intentions go somewhere. So, Jenny and I got involved with CE5, which is Dr. Stephen Greer's C Seti, and we kind of developed our own way of doing this contact. And basically, what CE5 means is close encounters of the fifth kind, which is a human initiated contact. So basically, what it is if you start researching it, it's basically people meet up and they have meditations where they use authentic intentions from your hearts. You're making a human initiated contact to ETs, and that may be in a telepathic way, which is you're sending it like a prayer, thought energy out to the cosmos,
Meditations.
and meditations. So you're centering yourself, and we also use tones. So Dr. Stephen Greer has protocols, and these protocols are sort of instructions on how to make contact.
Before you go into
Yeah.
that, when I was out with you, we did the meditation, and then you had us each speak our intentions,
Yes.
why we're there, and what are we looking for, and the whole 9 yards. And that kind of caught me a little off guard because I wasn't ready for that part.
Okay.
But it makes a lot of sense too,
Right.
because the way I do my Bigfoot, if I go in with a group of people, we're all talking out loud to each other and that, so they know we're there anyhow. But I do say to myself, and sometimes I say it out loud, the reasons I'm there and what my intentions are.
Right.
So yeah, I understand that.
Right. And it's all about giving yourself permission to explore the unknown in a way that you're taking yourself seriously, and you're taking what you're doing very seriously, but you're also opening yourself up to the unknown in that you don't know how things are going to respond to you. So you don't know how activity is going to come back to you. And Jenny and I can talk a little bit tonight about how we've done these things, and we've played these tones that are part of Dr. Stephen Greer's protocol, and you put them out to the universe, these tones. Some of them are known UFO recordings.
Right.
Some of them are Fibonacci sequences. What else, Jenny?
Maybe you should play some.
I could play some.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Sandy Lincoln asks, and this had to be taught. Yes.
Yes. I mean, there's an app for everything, so there is an app for this.
I don't know if I'd say taught. It's something that I think we're all able to do. It's something innate that we all can do. It's not like you need a class for it, or, of course, maybe a little bit of instruction on how to go about it. Just like with meditation, you quiet down, you center, you go into your heart space, to meditate, which is similar. That is part of it. But yeah, I think anybody can do this. Anybody.
And really, it's
From
basically
anywhere.
energy. Like, the more Jenny and I do things the stuff that we research, you're always looking for physical evidence, or you're always looking for some kind of intelligent response. And
Yeah.
we've received those in ways like on recorders. We've received intelligent responses to questions that we've asked in ghost hunting. But we've also asked intelligent questions after doing these meditations, and
Yes.
we've had responses like, what is it, Jenny? World Contact Day. So people all around the world do CE5 contact. We just happen to call ours contact meditation. So we have come up with our own meditations that we use, and there's a group of us that were selected to do this, and we experiment in with certain things. We experiment with remote viewing, we experiment with telepathic energy, and a lot of this stuff is open to people for just researching. If you want to go online and look up C Seti, you can look up Dr. Stephen Greer. He has all kinds of information on his field work, and you can pay. Like, Dr. Stephen Greer has C Seti CE5 contact sessions where you can go to Sedona and you
Which
pay.
would be very cool.
You
It's
pay a
very
lot of
expensive.
money to go on these.
Yeah.
You pay a lot of money, but Dr. Stephen Greer's whole message to humanity is, you can study his protocol. You don't need to go to his big events, and they're all self-explanatory on how to do it. So basically, what you're doing is following his instruction, and really, he wants humanity to share this information with one another, because when you share this information and on a consciousness level, and you expand out to each person in the universe that wants to make contact, you want to send these vibrational frequencies out to the universe of love. So basically, like, you're centering yourself on a message of love out to
Right.
the universe.
Right.
Now,
I've
Sounds kooky.
heard remote viewing
Yes.
for a long time, right? And there's been many, I've known many different people that have had different levels of success with it. Have you had any success with the remote viewing? Like, what would you consider to be a successful remote viewing?
Well, I mean, with the stuff that we've researched with, and I've done remote viewing with friends that are in the BFRO.
Okay.
So they're not really into like that whole woo side of things, but they're also open to it. So I had a friend in Colorado that asked me to remote view. So we were practicing with a psychologist on remote viewing. And for me, and also I would say probably for Jenny, is there's a lot of psi abilities with both of us. So when you have like a psychic ability or some kind of psychic energy that comes through, it comes through differently for certain people. For me, it always came through, and I couldn't be a person that would sit down with somebody and say, this psychically is going to happen to you. That's not always how it works with me. Sometimes it comes as like a movie, or like a it'll come through images that'll flash into my mind. And like, I'm a twin, so my twin sister and I have had this connection where we've had these psychic abilities too that go into a different realm of understanding energy. But we had to go to Philadelphia for a twin study before when we were younger, and they would put us in different rooms and we would have to tell the shapes of things.
Now, was that a metaphysical? Was that so who did that study, your twin study? Was that a university? Was it like a metaphysical?
It was a twin study. I was younger, so I don't really know, but I want to say that it was
probably more of a
like
college.
Yeah, it was
Sure.
like a
It sounds like a very collegiate experience.
Yes. Yeah.
I never knew the results. I never
Okay.
knew that.
Can you turn the volume down a little more on that? They're getting on that part.
The issue is it won't let you. I'm trying to do it on mine too, and I think because we're doing it on our phones, it's automatically booting sound. I tried to shut it off on my own.
That's the echo, because the cameras, they're using their camera, because my other camera went kaput.
Or we're in another dimension.
Yeah, we're,
Yeah, you can look at it that way.
Psychically, Jamie and Jenny, do you think everybody has it to some point?
Yes, I think we kind of shut it off. I think when we're children, a lot of times we have this ability from when we're born, but the programming and conditioning follows in, and we grow up and we kind of forget the things we knew how to do or were able to do without even really remembering what we were doing. And sometimes when we do get older, we fall back into it because maybe something happened in your life. Okay, now this came to me. You feel something. It's so you're knowing that you just know what you know, and you know. Because that's for me a lot of times. That's how it works. That's how things come to me, and I just know that it's
So that's like clear sent to you, right?
yeah.
So almost like you say conditioning and programming. It's like as kids, we have imaginary friends, right?
Yeah.
So the imaginary friend, I don't want to call it a syndrome, but eventually at some point your imaginary friend goes bye-bye.
Yeah.
Does that imaginary friend really go bye-bye, or do you, because you get to a certain age, you start losing that ability because, like you said, we're conditioned to not.
Yeah, and I think your parents and maybe
It's not how you do it,
like, and that, oh, well, that's just this or that's just that, and then you're like, oh, okay, well, that's not.
But I mean, I think as adults and responsible people on this planet, I think it's okay to give yourself permission to explore that side of yourself, because you're only here on the planet for a short amount of time. Try to learn as much as you can, and even if it's just for personal growth, for your own personal growth. Like, that's how I feel about it.
Have you noticed a lot of people now are starting to accept the concept of empaths and empathic energy? Do you think it's only a matter of time that starts transcending to the psychic aspect of it. So aside from being connected to each other emotionally and some people being very strong, I'm a very strong empathic person. Do you think that can be translated and cultivated into something psychic?
Yes.
Very much
Yes,
so.
very much so.
I got to agree with that because there's a lot of empaths out there, and people look down on them, and I don't know why.
Because they're looked at sometimes as weird or odd because, you know what I mean? Because sometimes you kind of withdraw when you're an empath. Sometimes you don't even want to be around a lot of people, and you kind of are odd.
Because you feel everything.
Yeah.
Not everything at once.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah, I
It's
think
an overload.
I think for me, like you can call it a vibe.
Sure.
Sometimes you just call it a vibe. If I walk in a room and there's something that doesn't resonate with me, I kind of step back and take a step back and I regain my own energy, and then I go into the room with my own energy going forward.
I always tell Jamie, blow up bigger.
Because if you're like Jenny and I are both kind of quiet people, and then, like you walk into a room loud, it kind of insults your energy.
And
Are they here? They can hear better now.
yeah. I believe,
Oh.
like I get a bad feeling when I walk into a room, and I do step back a little bit
It's just gas, Bill. It's just gas.
Just gas.
sometimes.
We tell Jenny that too.
But I step back and look and survey the room and see where that bad feeling's coming from. Did it come from a person, or is it coming from the room itself?
Or is it coming from your own insecurity of going in a room or something?
Right. Because
That's a
some
thought.
people
Exactly.
can be a mirror,
Yes.
and then they're reflecting something, but it's you, and then you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like,
Exactly.
maybe I should work on this. But yeah, so it's a work in progress, right?
Yeah. It is a work in progress.
So do you want? I mean, we could talk about some of the things that
Well,
have happened. To
like
us.
Dave said, people are afraid to enter the woo.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to enter the woo. I'm afraid of what I'm going to find out.
Some people would be, I think. Yeah. I mean, the unknown can be scary.
It is scary, and
Like we have good friends that are very physical with everything. Like they
Right.
want the physical evidence with Sasquatch, and they want the physical evidence with ghost or whatever. But sometimes it's not the physical that you get. Sometimes it's just a personal experience.
Right.
And like sometimes they go hand in hand. You can have the physical
Right.
evidence.
exactly. And the thing is, too, that I try to put off a good vibe,
You do.
but there's times I put off a bad vibe.
We all can do that.
And believe me, my wife tells me about it too. But no, seriously. So you got to be able to distinguish with other ones too, and I think that's where an empath can help too, on some of the unknown and that
Sure.
stuff.
So how can that empathic ability or psychic ability, how do you translate that to the C Seti? How does it help you make connection?
Because you can feel. It's almost like I said, like a knowing. Since you do have this perception that's kind of pretty broad, like it goes pretty far out there. So when you're making a connection from your heart space, when you're doing the C Seti, you can feel when there are like, I don't know. Now I'm gonna stop sounding like really blue, but I've actually had like seen in my mind's eye, my third eye, I've seen things where they're communicating with me while we're out there.
Right. And I felt that presence, not even when I'm out by myself out there, if I'm just out watching the sky. And I've done that for years. Yeah, before you start talking about that C Seti. I don't know how many nights over on Hall Street, I go out in the backyard, just stare at the sky, and those clear nights, I loved it, but I'm thinking, what else is out there? I'd like to see what else is there.
I mean, I
stuff
would
like
love
that.
to go, like where Sean lives. He lives out near what's Cherry Spring.
Yeah.
It's one of the darkest spots on the whole
Yeah.
East Coast.
Certified
That's
darkest
like
skies.
on our bucket list to go out there and do some C Seti field work.
I would be very
interested to do
Yeah,
that.
I would love for you to be open to that, because
We're
like
coming over.
Let's go.
James Baker, get ready.
Mary Heath said, we all have good and bad vibes, except Jenny and Jamie.
oh no, we do. Sometimes we can
Yeah.
we get on each other's nerves.
I mean, sometimes, most of the time, we're pretty, I don't know, we're just quirky.
Jamie, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. You cannot argue with Minnie Mouse.
You can't argue with her. It is hard to get into an argument with Jenny.
Well, this is funny because sometimes if we do get in an argument, we end up just laughing at each other. We're like, oh my God, like it's so ridiculous.
True.
Oh, it's entertaining.
Oh, geez. Dave, really? You don't think so?
What am I missing? Oh.
Dave Rupert.
Yeah, well, we don't-
Dave Rupert?
Huh?
I
What's
don't
that?
know.
No, I don't think. Is that? I don't
Yeah,
think
that's
is
Dave
it
Rupert.
Is it? I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
Identify yourself, Dave Rupert. Are you Mothman 46?
Yes, it is.
Say we're not naked out there.
Now,
I
I was
promise.
wondering that last week, and it was him.
I thought it was Roger.
I don't
Not
know.
that we're outing anybody under a
I
pseudonym.
don't know.
It's a mystery guest.
I want to find out who you are.
We're coming for you just to see. No.
So, Bill, we can talk about some of the things that we've experienced with the C Seti.
Yes.
Like
definitely.
we played these tones, and it's the core group of people that we use. We played the tones in the field at the meadow at Shenango. So we played them, and then we come home. There were different nights where Jenny and I had gone to bed, and I woke up in the middle of the night to these tones that I heard in our house. I'm walking around the house trying to figure out where these tones are originating. I couldn't figure it out. I didn't wake her up. Then
There was a night where I woke up and I'm in bed and I'm like, I hear the tones. I'm like, oh wow, Jamie's snoring, and I'm like, wake him up. I'm like,
You're not being smart. When you say tones, you're like
Close Encounters of the Third
they're like
Kind?
Close Encounters of the Third
Yes,
Kind. They're like
like
that. But they're also the tones that Dr. Stephen Greer gives you to play. They're some of them are from Mount Shasta. There's a recording from Mount Shasta that's a recording that is a known UFO recording that he recorded during a CE5 contact session. We play that and you put it on external speakers. Sometimes you can put it through a walkie, which I'm not sure how that amplifies the frequency. But we've had these play in our house. Then on another occasion, we had the tones playing in the house. So I got on the phone and I called two other members of the contact group and I said, what are you hearing? And they both said, we're hearing tones. And I was like, I can't, it's hard to wrap your mind around when you hear these tones in the field and then you hear them playing in your house. And then one of our other contact members just called recently and said that when she arrived back at her house, she walked into another room and she said these tones started playing when she was in another room. And this is a person that I completely 100% in total integrity. I would never think that she would make it up. And I know she's not because it's happened in our own home.
but I mean, we made that connection. We go out there, we make the connection.
Mhm.
So once they know your signature, like your actual frequency of yourself, they can find you
Well, that's interesting.
anywhere.
Yeah.
You have your own
Yeah.
signature
Yes.
frequency that they pick up on. Do you notate all this? Do you journal it?
We
Do you
do.
keep a
We
record?
keep. I call it a log, so
Yeah,
it's like
sure.
it's my own little
Captain's
log.
log.
Captain's
And
log.
we write down just like Bigfooting. We put the moon phase. We write down the weather. We write down who was present. We write down I write down what we talked about. Like what is that? Because I think that what we speak of, what we use that comes from our mouth, what comes out of our heart, what goes out to the universe, all means something. And literally, I say this because of that prayer that I said to my dad, if you're here, give me a sign. And I had this experience that you know with the Sasquatch.
You come across very genuine, right? And I think that's important to the things that you're saying because there's people that are going to go out there and they're going to try this or that bullshit. That's because most of the stuff that comes out of their mouths can be bullshit anyhow. I think what you said there is really important. A true intention. Like you really had a powerful moment where you said, "Dad, if you're here, give me a
Right.
sign," and you got one, right? And you just said something else. I say these things, and you have intent that you want them. It's kind of like channeling in the application of energy, right?
It
You're
is.
asking for it to
Right.
Yep,
manifest.
you got it.
Here's the thing too, and how he said about that person being genuine. I know Jami and Jenny. And I got to know them very, very well, and they are very genuine persons, and they're not going to spread BS.
Sure, and if it was other people, I would probably be a lot more skeptical about it. Because I've had experience with you guys before this, like I really am bought into the concept of experimenting and trying this out. Because as we said before we came on the air tonight, like I'm out of answers for some things.
It's okay to be wrong too.
Right.
If you experience nothing, that's okay too. If you experience something, then that's all the more reason to do it. And I think that for me, it became so personal with that other experience that I had in the other field of study, which is Bigfoot.
Right.
That encounter to me was super huge. The Bigfoot experience.
Yes.
Or that's what I'm calling it because that's what I think it was. But what became even more powerful was I had to start researching the power of prayer, the power
Yes.
of our thoughts. And those really are something. They go somewhere.
Shelley Stetzer, have you guys gotten together with other clairvoyants, clairsentients, or clairaudients to see if the Sasquatch will communicate? Normally, these with abilities are like a beacon of light that the spiritual realm attracts to. I would love to try it. I'm a bit of all three, but like Jami, I can't sit and just do a reading. And certain people I do have the telepathically spoken to, either one of yous do it, done it.
Did you say Ewans, Bill?
Yes, I did.
Yins or Ewans?
One of Ewans?
Yeah, I would have to say Bigfooting. I mean, we have been with other people that have these abilities. Of course, Jami and I do. So when we go out together, we both do. But same thing with C Seti, we're with other people that also have these abilities. And do I think it amps things up? Yeah, I think it probably does. I think it definitely can. But that's not meaning that somebody that's never done this before, that for the first time they go out there, they could have a freaking awesome experience.
The other thing I would have to add to that is no one, even a psychic, cannot claim that 100% whatever they're communicating with is that person that they're trying to communicate with.
Sure.
Or ETs, if we're trying to contact ETs,
exactly.
I can't say it's an ET, I can't say it's a Sasquatch. But what I do want and what I always strive for is an intelligent response. So when I say intelligent, I'm asking a question out there that I know, I maybe already know the answer to establish like that's contact to me.
Okay, what if it's telepathic? Because that was the other part of her question.
So the
Thanks,
other
Sean.
part would be telepathic.
You got them
That's
out
more
there.
personal.
Yeah,
Like-
it is very personal, but I think we
more
both
personal.
had experiences with that where
around here.
telepathic, yes.
And Mothman 46 says star date 76925.2. Jami and Jenny and Sean are on the podcast.
I'm not on the podcast. I'm here as a guest. That is about them. I'm just asking
No, I
questions.
think it's great you're here. Like, you have to buy them. This is like a birthday present.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I was so excited that he was coming. I even made him a special pot of coffee.
I
Nice.
am
And
drinking.
Agents of the Unexplained Coffee, you can pick up a box for a bag for $42.95.
No, I'm not.
$42.95. I would pay $42.95 for this.
He's my salesman.
I think you should make these hats.
And I like coffee, guys. If you follow me on social media, I'm a coffee junkie.
I love coffee.
Me too. I love a good coffee, and this is a good cup of coffee. Agents of the Unexplained Special Brew.
And Shelley wants to know, have they ever tried telepathically ever spoken to aliens?
Yes, I said it again.
The question is, have they ever telepathically spoken to
Like
us?
when
Yeah.
we're hearing things, like, okay, I have heard things, but sometimes I don't know. You just get a knowing of, maybe you don't know exactly who it is. If you mean during C Seti, have I gotten things come through to me? Yes. and they're always come through out of love. But have I ever gotten messages besides doing the C Seti?
I've only
Yes.
gotten things through the recorder. Like I've never. I guess people like a lot of in the psychic community would call them downloads. So you're getting
Right.
downloads from energy, and I don't really know. But I've had things come across the recorder that are intelligent responses. Like we would play the Carpenter song "Calling Occupants," and that's the World Contact Day song. So we would
Now
play.
we've only just begun.
No, that
No.
one's a good one too.
Well, wait a
And the
minute, wait a
Carpenters are
minute.
so square
Wait,
too,
wait.
so it's weird that they had that song.
Well, something about that though, right? There
Yes.
has to be something in their experience that would get them to write a song about something. So that's
Right.
kind of very personal song.
It is, yeah. But what I was gonna say is we played that song, we play it over and over, and we try to do things repetitively to put out our energy signature.
Right.
So the one day I said, "Can you tell me what the chorus of that song is?" And on the recorder it said, "We are friends," and we all high-fived each other because to me that's an intelligent response.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bill. I see what's going on.
He's talking about that, and I was supposed to be there
Oh. At
when,
the- where
when
had
you
your
got that
experience.
response.
Oh, you were
Yeah.
supposed to be there.
I
You
was,
were.
and I'm still. Oh my God!
I thought he had to pee for a second.
didn't know
Yeah,
what was
listen,
going
I'm
on.
Like I was
worried.
struggling.
I'm like,
with
I'm
it.
moving over this way because I'm not sure what's gonna happen.
And Mothman 46 says it's today's my birthday. You're lying.
Is it?
It was,
Are you
Down at Beaver
sure
Creek.
You know who this is, Bill?
yes, I'm positive.
Is it Dave Rupert?
I don't
It
think
is
it's
Dave
Rupert. Bill and I are going to agree to disagree on this.
I don't know either. I
I
thought his
don't-
birthday
I'm
was
going to
like in
find out
March.
how you are, Mom.
Dave Rupert's
If it's your
birthday is at
birthday-
Beaver Creek.
All right, so
All right,
how old are you? If it's your birthday, how old are you?
I'm going to talk to your mother because I found out who she is, Dave.
I saw the straight to the moms now.
He's gonna do a mom joke here.
Come on, it's Mom.
If Baker was here, there'd be a mother joke.
You know it. He goes, I'm not Dave.
Told you it's not. I don't know.
It's not.
Because he told me to go to my messages, and I did. And Sean knows.
True, you never really know who you are talking, and that's true. And we've heard that in many cases, right? You have to be very careful because demons. Well, okay, but this is where I also disagree because I don't think demons are as prevalent in this world as people make them out to be.
Well,
No, and I think if you give things energy, then you receive
Right,
that
and
energy.
it's
And I don't
credibility.
get
Credibility.
no, wait a minute. Shelley Stetzer had that problem. And the thing with that is she was wishing to see Bigfoot so much and end up being demons looking like.
But how do you know that?
She had a lot of stuff happening and had people come in and
But then you're putting,
she's on one of my podcasts.
sure, but then you're putting faith in what somebody else is telling
Not just
you.
someone else.
Or others, a group of
Others.
others.
All right.
I'm just saying you have to be skeptical of that too, because how do you know that's not the demon working through them? I just say in this world we have to be very careful with throwing the word demon around because I don't think it's as prevalent as it is.
No, I agree with you.
I think thought form has a lot to do with
Yes.
it, which is very different.
like tulpas
Okay.
in Buddhism, they're energy created from your thoughts. Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
You can manifest.
you can. Manifestation is a
Certain
real thing.
things.
Sure.
If you
Mothman 46 says we are legions. Is that? I think that's supposed to be legend.
No, Weird Legion, that's a reference
Yeah.
to
Will Smith.
Will Smith. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you Will Smith, Mothman 46?
That would be super cool if he had a celebrity.
He's 2 years older than Dave.
I'm telling you, I know who it is, but I don't want to out him on the radio because he's a very low key person.
Okay, don't do it.
Yeah, I'm not.
Don't out him on there until we get off air, and then
Yeah.
you can tell me.
I'm on to you, Mothman 46.
So I mean, like, I think the stuff that Jenny and I do could go two different ways with Bigfoot and with this other side of us, which is the contact meditations. It could advance the field of all of it. If you really are into documenting and keeping diaries, which we're doing, and we're collecting information on our recorders, and like this recorder, I'm telling you, if anyone in the scientific world ever wants to document and have patterns appear, this is the recorder that will do it. And like you
But
can
they're very hard
establish
to
that the
find.
unknown is intelligent, it's the recorder. And you know, like I know I'm sitting on a really cool thing, and you know,
You're not sitting on it.
I'm not sitting on
Yeah.
it. We're getting really cool stuff with this
Yeah, we
recorder.
do. Yeah, we do.
But I know that
You're just showing a black case. You're not showing a recorder.
I can show the
I think
recorder.
you should play something from them.
The recorder.
I'm trying to hide my true identity for people
No.
to get hold of
It's a great recorder, but
I lost my Agents of the Unexplained badge. I just
No.
I'm vulnerable.
Oh, here, put that down.
Here, have another one.
Give us some tape.
I don't have any tape in here.
so what I was saying is we're either going to advance the fields of if people decide that you know the woo is a place to go, and you know you don't have to have answers. Like you don't have to have answers. Like science sometimes doesn't have answers.
Why'd you take?
They sometimes don't.
All right.
And
let me
science
say
can be
this.
wrong, too.
Let me say this, and
Or we could, or the other
I'm
side.
going to upset a few people because I'm leaning to the woo because we got to get some
That's
answers
fine.
somewhere.
Bill, you don't have to label yourself.
No, you
No.
can
really
you
don't.
can dabble in different buckets.
Yes,
No.
and I do, and that's what I'm open to it all. You know, and
It's good to be open.
Dabble in different buckets.
Dabble in different buckets. I guess.
I've never heard that, but
Dab your toes in
That-
different streams.
that's a Geek Squad type
I could be.
comment.
I
Maybe.
don't know.
I don't know. It's a Sean Forker original.
I like
Yeah.
it.
Sean
I
Porter
think it's
original.
okay for you to feel how you feel and be what you want to be, Bill.
Oh.
Right, because you can be in the
Brian
woo.
Siege. Brian
right?
Siege. He said
Yes.
woo.
But it's good to
Wildly
be
out of
there, but also to use deductive reasoning also, right?
Very
you're
much
woo,
so.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, we know the difference. Like, we know pareidolia. We all look at the clouds and we can all see the bunny. We all know that. But
Right.
But even for someone like me, who I've been flesh and blood, I've never been someone to poo-poo on
No,
what
I
someone
don't
else
think
is
you would ever
thinking. I
disrespect
just want, I want people to be more critical of it. That's
yes,
all.
yes.
Gwen Purcell posted something today, and I'm 110% with her on this one. Some people will come to you with their experience, and in your head, you're thinking, well, this is a whack job and a half. And you don't rain on their parade. This is
No.
something they really experienced. So, you know, listen to the whole story.
Right, 'cause it could be
Get-
very emotional to them.
It's to me,
Yes.
it's my encounter was very emotional to
Very.
the point of like I had to go to grief counseling afterwards, and I also had to
Oh,
talk
'cause your
about what
dad,
happened. And you know, then you have to you really being a skeptic is that moment that happened. I had to be a skeptic because I was like, I don't believe in Bigfoot. You know, I didn't believe in Bigfoot.
Sure.
But this happened. You know, like it had a very physical encounter, and then it turned into what it
We
turned
thought it was a
into.
dinosaur at first. We were not into Bigfoot
So
whatsoever.
we had our presentation, right? That Baker Eyes and Cotton Hills, and we talked about that. The impact of the witness and how you really control the emotional aspect of that for them. You can deflate them and tear them down, or you can acknowledge, and whether you fully commit or believe to them or not, they still, to them, have this experience. We owe them the due diligence of at least listening, having empathy, and being able to, make our own conclusions later on.
I guess for me too, it came to this point where I decided that the personal experience that happened to me with that Bigfoot encounter, and even with this stuff, becomes so personal that somebody could tell me that it wasn't what happened wasn't real, but it was too personal for me. Like when I hear these tones that are played in our house that are also played on Dr. Stephen Greer's protocol,
Right.
you can't take that away from that experience. And I'm so blessed that Jenny has been there with through all of this with both encounters. The only thing she didn't know was that I said a prayer to my dad, because that was like a prayer. So
Right.
that was a telepathic message to God, our Father, and my father. Like, and then weeks later, that's when I dissected it and realized that prayer was answered, because the last movie that I watched with my dad was Harry and the Hendersons. So I can't ignore that. Like I just couldn't.
No, you can't. And that's the thing.
Yeah. This has been all over the place, by the way.
Yeah, it is. And Brian Seach even says we owe the eyewitnesses our full respect.
Yes.
Sure.
Always.
Because without them, we have nothing.
Exactly.
Right.
And and
without people
like I
being
said,
bold and different and thinking outside the box. Oh, I talked to Doug Hychek on Monday.
Yeah.
You know, without experimenting and being daring and being scientific, we're not getting anywhere. Rather, you feel this is a nuts and bolts kind of science, rather it's alternative science. It's still, you're testing, you're documenting,
I am.
you're trying to repeat it, you have a hypothesis, and I went out of the steps of the scientific method, but you're being very scientific in what you're doing.
that's the thing. You got to be more out in the open and more open-minded with the science, with the non-science research, you know.
But when we say non-science, the problem that really pisses me off with that is it's unscientific. Like when you say you're trying to experiment with new things because it doesn't fit within the dogma of what is science, like science today is unscientific.
Very.
That's all I'm saying.
They're following sort of old paradigms. Like
They are.
You got to look at the minds like Albert Einstein that says imagination is like the biggest key to all of science.
And they thought he was nuts.
Right, and he wasn't good at math, but the man actually used his mind in a way that was outside the box. Like literally, we use stuff like this in our research. That's like frequency. So we're amplifying these frequencies on external speakers, and it's pretty cool.
So what's woo about that?
There's nothing woo about
Right.
it.
But that's the point I'm trying to make. It's scientific. That's the point I'm trying to make with it.
But to some people, that's trying woo.
Because you're trying to make contact with something that fits outside the realm of known science.
Right.
But you're using scientific principle and technology to do it.
Yeah. Oh.
I respect the three witnesses. To
Fred
the highest
Sluga.
degree.
Thank
Fred
you so much.
Sluga.
Hi, Fred.
Fred, I don't know if he was here in the beginning, but
They attributed this to you.
this
Yes.
show is tributed to you.
Yeah, we dedicated the show to you, Fred, because like legitimately, like you have been in a world of science, being a detective, and I think there's gonna be a lot of respect taken for that. And I think that when a detective comes up with the word interdimensional or whatever, you have to look at yourself and say, how did this man, Fred Sluga, come to this point? But I don't really know that story, how you came to that point, but I would love to hear it sometime. And we do madly respect you, Fred.
Yes, we do. We love you.
Yeah.
And I think that detectives do have
Deductive reasoning.
and they're intuitive.
Intuitive.
Yeah.
Yes. Empathic too. You have to
Okay.
be empathic to be a detective.
Kristen Doyle says a lot of scientists that are labeled crazy tap into their subconscious minds for their ideas. Now, for some reason, her stuff's not coming up on my board, and I don't know why. Now, she did say something else above here. I'm trying to find it. Oh, does Contact have a local meeting?
Well,
No.
we have these core group members that were selected that work with us, and we've been working with them for probably I don't know how many years.
Several.
But I think Jenny and I are going to start in the spirit of Dr. Stephen Greer. We're going to open up select dates where we can do this with our contact meditations, and we're going to share what we've learned with contact, the actual contact group, which is CE5. So we're going to share all that stuff with the meditations.
Share it right now.
Yeah, I mean, we could share it right now, but I know there are people in the community that would probably love to participate in that, and we'll open that up, and they're welcome to join us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just haven't done that yet because like we really have been establishing how it's working with this core
You
group.
want some
Yeah,
control
because
and
Yes.
some
it's a body of work.
consistency with it.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a body of work that you're doing.
You want to be scientific.
Yeah, we want to be scientific, and we really want to know that what we're doing is having validation within the group, and it is.
Sure.
Right.
Your
It really
control
is.
group, right,
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't want to open it up to something if it's not going to work, and we've had stuff work. So legitimately,
Yeah.
it's
The danger
exciting.
to this is you are going to attract people with alternative perspective, and sometimes they have a tendency to be a little romantic.
Yeah.
Right. And you do run that risk of people that are just going to come out and they're going to experience it because they wanted to, which is different than experiencing it because you wanted to. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do
Yes.
understand completely.
Yes.
Yeah, all right, I do understand. Like, what I really wanted to see a Bigfoot.
Mhm.
So everything you see in the woods is a Bigfoot now.
No,
That's what I'm saying to them. Like, there are people
Right,
that
yes.
I want to see a
yes,
Bigfoot, and
but I know. And to finish here, what I'm saying is, I wanted to see a Bigfoot. I saw one, but now I'm in this rabbit hole where these other people, everything's Bigfoot, and no, it's not.
sure.
But I think
Not me. Everything's not Bigfoot. There's nothing Bigfoot, so I can prove it. It is.
Yeah, and that's what we're saying. I think the fear I would have is something they were doing is if I opened that up to everybody,
yeah.
they've already practiced this enough to have some control and maybe some predictability. You open that to outside elements that may be a little bit more radical, and starts to skew the results
Right.
Yes.
that you're
Right.
looking for. And that would be
Agreed.
my fear with it, which is why I respect the approach more that you're taking.
But I mean, it's even
Would you do it
if you compare the two.
outside to do that type of contact meeting like we're talking
Yes,
about?
I mean-
or would you do that like in a restaurant back room?
No, it'd probably be
No.
done outside.
It would
but
be-
it
it
would
is
have to be in a
something
field.
that, like you said, you can just go out in your backyard
Right.
and make contact. And it's an intention. It is an intention from your heart.
Yeah.
That you can do, and anybody can do it.
I
From
feel like
anywhere.
too, like I mean, all the stuff that we've talked about right now is like with the control group. You want to know how that works. Even if
Sure.
even a person that's researching Bigfoot and you're going out into the woods, you're studying and you're being an observer. So you're observing nature around you. So you
Right.
know what is and what isn't. So you're becoming familiar with that whole energy grid of being outside.
Right.
In the woods, in the forest, you know it. So that's what we're also doing with ourselves. So like when you do these meditations, to me, consciousness is the final frontier of knowledge. So when there's no real explanation of what consciousness is. So you have consciousness, you have a subconscious. So when you go into these states of consciousness and you go into the state of meditation, you're opening that field and your aura, your energetic aura out even more. And you're trying to raise your vibrational frequency. And you can do this even with Bigfoot. When you're in the woods and you become one with nature, you're raising your vibrational frequency and your stress levels are reduced. And
Someone
science-
raising their vibration.
Yes, I can feel it. I can feel it.
Yeah.
This is a
And then he's going to say something.
but yeah, I mean,
told him
that's,
before about that. Yeah. Well,
we do want to open it up to people that want to experience it, because that's the whole message of Dr. Greer, is to get that consciousness,
right.
to raise the universal consciousness to a level of, consciousness of one, basically, like you're sending out love to the
Collective
universe. And
consciousness.
Yeah, not like the Independence Day movie where they're all standing on top of that
no, and that's
that thing holding up signs. No, it's
that's
not
the
like
other
that.
thing. Like a fear, you want to be based in love and not a fearful place, because fear is a whole different frequency.
Yes.
That's it. And like Fred just said, you have to go outside the box with UFOs and Bigfoot.
Yep.
Yeah.
110%, Fred.
You just said something really interesting to me, that you can't approach it from a place of fear. We're kind of in a fear situation right now with UFO and UAPs, right?
Right,
And
yeah,
this whole
this-
governmental, we're having hearings on
Right.
UAPs, and that's, to me, that was a very kind of fear-mongering event. There wasn't anything discovery or scientific about it. Even asked the questions that the congressman asked were of a negative connotation. Has anybody ever been murdered? Questions like that they
Right.
were asking. When we're approaching the subject now, because people want disclosure, and you do it and you're doing it negatively, that's got to have some repercussion. What do you think about that? Do you think it's going to channel the negative in, or what do you
Yes,
think?
it will.
I-
To a
Jenny's
certain
watched
extent.
she's
Yeah.
watched a lot more of it than I have. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I would have to say that this is kind of like a very soft disclosure where they're putting a little bit out there, but I do believe, and I've done some research, that they have known about this for quite some time, about UAPs, UFOs, and extraterrestrials, and they have researched their craft, and they have learned propulsion. So our parts of our government. I'm not going to say all of it. Not everybody in the government knows this. Only certain parts of it know this and have been researching it for a very long time.
Which we're seeing. I mean,
Yeah.
that's true. When our congressmen don't even have access to these programs, they went out and asked for permission. They were denied by the military government that's answerable to the civilian government,
Right.
and you're declined. Like, that's scary to me. But like you said, did they cherry pick what they wanted? They took that away, they hid that, and then what's left? That's
Yeah, they didn't
Suspect.
want, of course, they
Yeah.
don't want us to know what's really going on because that would change quite a bit, wouldn't it?
yeah.
That,
Yeah.
A
That's
lot
why-
of ramifications from that.
and I've been saying from the get-go that government is only releasing just that much information.
But it's done in a very negative way.
Yes.
That's my.
Yeah.
But I mean, when
It
you
is,
attach
but the
a
thing
negative,
is
it can't be good.
There, no, the inquiry stuff they had on Capitol Hill was the negative end of it. What they were releasing was already known facts that people knew.
Well, I mean, they're
Sure.
claiming they have a body, like that. They have a body.
They
Like,
do have
I
a
mean,
body.
if
Bodies.
you do, I would like to see that.
I guess a further question I would have for you guys then, if making contact, are you afraid of what you might be making contact with? Because you're approaching it with positive intent, right?
Yes.
You
don't
assume,
really,
like,
like-
I don't want to say assume because that's,
Yeah.
you want that positive intent to come back. Like people, extraterrestrial, there's probably the good with the bad. right?
Yes, and there are, like, I don't know if anybody out there has researched different types of extraterrestrials, but there are reptilians, and you have your bad reptilians, and you have your good reptilians. You have Arcturians, you have Pleiadians, you have.
Well, this is where I mean, Jenny and I differ
Yeah.
a little bit. Like to me, when she says the Arcturians and these other names, to me, it's like, where does this knowledge come from? How do they even know these names? Like that would
Exactly.
be a part
Because
where
for
I would
many
break off.
years
But,
now, people have channeled
but I do believe people channel, and I do
Yes.
believe that they
these
know.
beings.
But I've heard the same things Jenny has said for
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've heard we've had 26 different alien species visiting.
but
It's always an even number visiting this planet,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yep.
so what? That's interesting because if we have a couple bodies, not one person has to be
Right.
the same.
I want to see
Do
it.
they vary?
Well, Fred was on an investigation. It was a 3-beer night too.
Is that what he
yeah,
wrote?
No, wait a
He
minute.
did
Let me
before
scroll.
that,
Let me scroll back. I was investigating a UFO landing and a lot of paranormal aspect associated with it. It was a 3-beer night, but then you come back down to here, and he goes, and that was this weekend. The ETs are here and have been here for some time.
So I think when Bill said,
Yeah.
when Fred's saying it was a 3-bear night, it was a hell of a night. That's more than
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I'd be interested to hear more about that. Absolutely.
Fred, we're going to do a podcast again.
But you know,
brother,
like you don't
on
even
that
like,
aspect.
even if you don't have congressional hearings on it, as human beings on planet Earth, as long as we've been here, us, like let's just say us, our ages right now, I'm 53.
64.
37.
So we've
And-
been
and
on
a
the
puppy.
planet, we've been
And
on
a
that
puppy.
planet
Puppy.
this long. How quickly has the technology expanded so
Oh,
much? Like I don't even know where it
I already
comes from
went into
sometimes.
this a
Like
month ago.
it's so
we went
fast.
from flying wooden planes to jets in 40 years.
Yes, I mean like
That's a tremendous advancement
Now, wait a
in
minute.
technology.
yes.
Uh,
The fact
we
that
went
we're on a
with,
podcast that's
the
being-
internet and everything else since you was a baby.
Yeah, well, it wasn't commercially available to everybody till I was in high school, really.
Ah.
But to your point, we went from being connected in the world since the late 70s. So we go from using oil lamps in the late 1800s to the 1900s to in
to
100
where we are
years
now.
being able to talk to each other at the speed of light, right?
Right,
Like,
and we have
Yes,
little
exactly.
computers.
It's
in
like
our
Star
hand.
Trek, like
It
in the
is.
60s when he got out his little, and he was like talking.
His
and
little flip phone.
Yes,
But I mean,
Right.
for,
Yeah,
like
that's right.
we've become people of instant gratification. We want the instant gratification
Right.
right,
but it
away.
has stagnated. The
A little
technology
bit, yeah.
has slowed. We're just improving what we already have.
Mhm.
The next big thing hasn't been released to us publicly yet, though. Like Jenny said,
Yeah. Well,
They-
Jenny,
they haven't.
Yeah, that's
Uh-oh.
true.
I have a low battery.
The thing is,
plug it in.
Plug it in.
you need to plug in.
Yeah, I think so.
Uh,
Wait, the
One of us
other,
is going to die. Stand by.
the one thing that I was gonna say, what was I gonna say?
yeah.
I know. I was gonna say something too. Damn it, we're going.
I know, that was exciting.
I'm plugged in.
This has been a great conversation, by the
Oh,
way.
man, I'm plugged in. Here, wait a second.
I'm stealing.
I'm sorry, folks.
Sorry.
Stand by.
I went into Peter Jennings mode tonight.
Uh-oh.
Dan Rather. Walter Cronkite.
Okay, we're back.
I forget
Okay.
what I was going to say, but
Gary Overfield says Truman knew of the alien beings and prior administration knew of the UFO sightings, but Biden never released the information, which is true.
but why do you think they would withhold that information? Is it
People are all
about
dead
control?
now.
No, wait a
Oh, I
minute.
know what I was going to say. Dr. Stephen Greer, if you're listening to any of his stuff that's going on, his message to humanity right now is that there's the wool's being pulled over our eyes and there's free energy that is available. And that's like he's had a whole
It's been available
symposium
for quite
on
some
it.
time.
And he's saying that the corporations and everything are withholding.
Right.
And that's maybe why we've been stagnated and put where we are.
A dear friend of mine's stepfather, a quantum energy device,
Yeah.
QED, right? He had one built. I seen it in the
Mhm.
garage, and he had yet to activate it, but he was building it, a free energy device.
Yeah.
His whole goal was to move overseas so he could work on it a lot more
Free.
freely. And you guys, most of you that know me, damn it,
Ah!
know I operate in kind of a world where I like to stay within the realm of realism. This is practical. It's there. It's not new. He didn't develop it. It was developed years ago, and it's still not available to us yet. Commercialism.
Yeah.
Fred's letting us know how much technology has grown since he was in grade school.
Okay.
And learned to write
On
where he
stone
had to
tablets.
dip his pen in ink.
Oh, he had a quill.
Did he
was-
really
Yeah.
say
Oh,
that?
for Pete's
Yes, he
sakes.
did.
Right.
I don't know
That
if
was a whole
anybody has
different dimension.
researched this. Like in the 1800s, I've been kind of falling into this where I'm seeing this more and more where they had free energy already,
Yes.
but they suppressed it and they put a lid on it.
In what
Like
way,
the
though?
solar energy.
Like they actually.
They suppressed that for a long time. Okay. So they
Yeah.
The New World Order and the dependency on oil.
yes.
It really that's
We've
what it's
had
been
wars
about.
over this,
We
correct?
have. It's
Yeah.
because whenever you can take a resource and make it finite, there's demand and there's power.
Right.
And those who hold the power, hold the resources, hold the power, and the rest of us are subservient to them in some way,
Exactly.
They
shape, or
want us to
form.
think within
And
certain
Fred's got to
box.
leave. Fred, you take care. Glad you was here. We
Bye,
will
Fred.
have fun.
And that's there's nothing conspiratorial about that. We know that to be a fact. That's
Yes,
the world we live in now.
very much so.
I think the next frontier is ourselves. Maybe not so much, of course, technology, but if you think of technology in a way as we are amping up ourselves.
Well, how freaky is it to think about the most powerful thing on the planet is us and our potential and the things we don't
Maybe
know
that
what we can
scares
do.
people.
Yeah.
And it should scare people.
I mean, AI is like they're talking up AI like it's
Well,
the
that's
next.
what
But we created
what I was meaning.
We created it, yeah. I mean, but the human element is going to be the part that's going to be the most. It's going to be the most revered. The human element is going to be.
We create these dependencies on these devices and these technologies. We use it. We create the demand for it. We become subservient to it based on our own devices or on our own needs. AI is not going to be any different than that. But at the end of the day, it was still created by us,
Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
something within us that had
But
that.
can AI eventually take over? We don't like.
We will. It's not about can it. It will because we'll let it.
We'll let it.
Through our own
Maybe not.
laziness, we'll let it happen.
Unless you
not.
stay connected with, if you keep I mean, Jenny and I are very much into nature and we keep ourselves balanced. We don't watch a lot of news. We try
We don't
to
watch any
educate
news.
ourselves by reading.
But you're a small,
Yes.
small
Yeah.
part
But it's
of
getting
this.
bigger.
I don't watch
It's
news
getting
anymore.
bigger,
I
though.
can't.
It's getting
You
I
can't,
Because it's
handle
not news.
it. No, it's not.
We don't even know if these
And-
congressional hearings are coming out as a distraction. We don't know.
Well, we still have a
because
war
it's like,
going
watch
on in
this
the
hand, 'cause the
Ukraine.
other
We've got
hand's doing
Russia
something
doing
else,
shit
don't
every day. We don't know. And what
Yeah.
better way to distract us with cool shit from outer space?
Yes, I mean, we all
I'm
want to
still
know.
trying to figure out how they don't know where the coke came from in the White House.
It was mine.
I'm sure
scared
it's
of
Hell, even
Sure.
Bill Clinton did coke in the
Look at
White
me.
House.
I'm too
Oh.
fat for cocaine.
Oh my God, stop it.
Uh,
No, for Pete's
I
sake.
heard you echo.
I love it. We're getting 3D Jenny sounds all over the place.
Yes. But, with all honesty, a lot of this extraterrestrial and all that is, who's that remind you
Yeah,
of?
we've got James Baker here. Did you bring the train?
Trains.
That's running late. That's the 6 o'clock train.
Because you're doing radio. That's why. Or-
Ooh, I wanted to mention about the
But,
time bar.
everything's being covered up for us. And that's why I don't watch the news. I try to keep everything real. And when I get news, it's usually, I got to check the weather on my phone,
Mhm.
And that's the only news I want is the weather. Because that's the only thing that's real.
That's not even right though half the time either anymore.
No.
So wait, I want to get
Come
to
on.
this too. When Bill says that I'm his mentor, and I told him, "You can do it, Bill. All you got to do is just be you. You can do it.
Yes.
Look what you're doing. You are all over the place. You're going live all the time. You're going live from helicopters.
You're Bill fucking
That's
Rigby.
right.
Yeah.
Live in the sky. He's Bill
Yes.
Rigby on life support.
Yes.
It's like Les
And
Nessman.
Jenny and I were talking about that. We were talking about that at home. I said, "What if Bill would have saw a Bigfoot from that helicopter?"
Oh, it made that pilot turn around.
Yeah.
They would have been like, Bill,
Hey!
Bill.
I'm not stopping. Turn this son of a bitch
They're like,
around.
"That's- give him some
Bill
background."
Rigby live stream. He's down. We lost a patient.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
So
I
look
would
where
make
you've
him
come.
turn around.
I just wanted to say, look where you've come, and thank you for having us.
And that's what your
Yes.
mentor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've surpassed anything I expected from you.
I couldn't do it with all my friends. All my friends have helped me and backed me with everything I've been doing. And I appreciate that more than anything in the world. I really do. And
Actually, Nike's the one that said it. You can do it.
Just
do it. Just
just do
It
it.
wasn't me. It was Nike's your
And I don't like Nike.
I
I
know
know
I
I
probably took you three away from the show you had planned, so I'm sorry.
Oh, this is great.
Do you have you can play for us? Is it possible? Am I putting you on the spot or posing you?
No, we should.
You guys
I
chat.
should end with a cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why not? Take
Wait,
it
you
out.
guys
We got a special treat just for you here. I put them on the spot. Sometimes you get stage fright and you lose things when you're not.
Hey, we got the squeaky door set. No, I didn't oil
Yeah,
it.
but I think these are really important things for us to talk about tonight because it's, so much negativity, at least I feel, and you guys pointed out when you approach it to make contact positively, whatever.
Yes.
But these subjects, when we're approaching it, has been very negative and been fed very negatively from.
Because they're fear based.
Well, they are.
They want that fear based reality for people, and you can either choose to fall into that fear based whatever they want to hand and feed you, or not. Right?
Absolutely.
Well, that's the thing. That's even like in Bigfoot. It's fear-based to keep their mouth shut because they don't want to get ridiculed or because someone in their family.
Well, that's true. Some people don't want to come forward.
Yeah, and so
It's
it's
actually becoming
all-
less now, though. I feel because it's become so popular in the world we're in. It's not as crazy anymore to say, "Hey, I had a Bigfoot sighting." There are people that I never would expect in a million years that they could give me a sighting that they had. That when we were in Hocking Hills, that veteran who came forward, I never felt comfortable to tell anybody about this, but this happened to me 23 years ago here. That's so amazing.
I had a lady message me about a sighting she had. He's out there.
Oh, okay.
But it's like more of an echo. I don't know why. Maybe we should.
Where's that echo coming from?
Hello, hello, hello.
Is that coming from his phone?
Is there anybody out
Or is
there?
that coming from out there?
No, I think it's the phone.
But anyhow,
Maybe it's here.
What do the listeners have to say, Bill? Do we have any more listener comments?
Gretchen Fest is fast approaching.
We want your thoughts, folks.
Mm-hmm. I see thought bubble.
Yes. Fear keeps the masses in check.
Yep.
Look at the church.
Sure. Well,
One.
again,
I want you to hear the little
Recordings. I should have queued it. I can't find it.
Oh my god.
Well,
I will
another time. Another time to do this.
Back to the
What was I saying?
I don't know.
You're
You're the host. I'm just throwing it back to you, Bill.
Oh, back to Jami and Jenny for being here. They were the ones that keeping us going.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having
I'm
us.
so glad you guys agreed, and I'm so glad you guys came here.
Yeah, we got to see your new place.
We got to see the ice cream flavor forker.
Yeah. Hey, the other thing that was thrown at me earlier today, and I want all your opinions on this, including yours, Sean. Once I get this all set up right, get the cameras right, have people come in and do a round table podcast.
Sure.
Yeah.
Diversity of
Yes.
thought is never a bad thing.
Right,
Yes.
which is
And-
kind of what we're doing right
Yeah,
now.
sure.
It's very cool. Yeah.
Yes, Angel, that was your idea.
That was good.
No, not everybody's going to agree with the things we said about, especially me, about demons and
Yeah.
that. And it's not. I'm not here to agree with everything everybody says. That's not my thing. I just think in what we're doing, we have to be careful when we're starting to attribute labels to things that may or may not be what they are. That's all. Like, we have to be careful because this is a world right now. Everybody's a demonologist. Everything that has some sort of negative feeling is a demon, which isn't true.
Right.
If we
Right.
look at the aspects of demons, there's a finite amount of demons. They just don't pop out of your ass because it's Tuesday. Like, there are a certain finite amount of demons out there, and they can't be everywhere all at once. They're not omnipotent. They're not omnipresent. They're limited.
I like to call Jenny and I, we're seekers. So
Sure.
like it's an archetype. You're a seeker. We're just looking for answers. We're only on the planet a short amount of time. Try to figure it out. You know, like
And we'll never
I gotta
figure it
agree
out.
with that.
Think
And,
about it.
So
That's
yeah,
true. You get, what's the average human lifespan? 74 years now?
yeah.
Oh, I hope it's longer
74.
than that.
Look at
Come
the
on.
Well,
look at the Four Horsemen, man.
Sure.
They
Saw
were
Peter Byrne.
searching for
Right.
those answers. They were looking
Well,
for that, and they
None of them had an encounter.
no, right.
Wow, I did not know that.
None of them.
yeah.
I did not know that.
But they kept seeking
Sure.
to the end of their time. So kudos to them. I mean, like really, they paved the way for a lot of people with looking for answers.
And with a lot of knowledge from them.
Yes.
And that's the thing. And me and Sean talked about the new Four Horsemen.
Yeah, I don't know if there is a new Four Horsemen per se. What I think there's a new collective of researchers now. It's
Yeah.
you call them the Four Horsemen because 50 years ago there weren't that many
Right,
people in there.
exactly. There was very
Very
small. Yes, very.
And even
small
now,
pocket.
You know, people calling themselves cryptozoologists or what have you. Like, even they're not true to the research. They're true to the fad.
Sure.
They're not true to this. I really think if you're going to call yourself a researcher or an investor, you have to appreciate the history. You have to combat yourself with the knowledge. You have to equip yourself with it, and you have to put some time and have some skin in the game.
Yeah.
I think that's how you start defining. I think there's people that are elevated. You have the Cliff Barrettmans, the Matt Pruitts, the people, the flesh and blood. But what does that look like from the alternative perspectives? We don't elevate any of the people that, the Kawani Lasperists. They're never going to be celebrated because for 50 years they've been freaking nuts to people.
But his
Right.
books were super interesting. Like,
But people read them.
yeah. Yes.
All right, I've got a question here. Are Jami and Jenny going to stop at Beaver Creek later? What do you mean, later tonight?
No.
We can do a
9:30.
meetup.
Bring the hot dogs.
I have to be. I work
Sorry.
early in the morning.
Yeah, we work tomorrow morning.
Wait, who put that?
Mothman 46.
Walkman 46. We would love to come to Beaver Creek, but I get up early for work.
Yeah, no, sorry, we can't make it tonight.
I'm going home right after this. I gotta be in
Oh,
another
yeah.
part of PA tomorrow morning.
But
What do
you're
you
not
mean,
leaving
3
until you
hours?
tell me who that is.
I'll tell you who it is.
Who
I think
I'm
it
holding
is.
him
Oh,
hostage.
it could be Mark Mazel.
No.
No. All right, but
Mystery Mothman 46.
the mysterious.
Yes.
But
I can't see the comments on this.
I mean,
Wait a
I've,
minute, wait a
I've
minute.
enjoyed. Like, I've enjoyed
Angel's
all of
asking
it.
this: how can you be a cryptozoologist seriously, zoologists usually always have a hands-on experience with the animals they study.
I don't know.
You're talking about cryptids.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never met a squonk. But I find it very fascinating about the squonk.
It's a very sad, pathetic creature.
Yeah.
I never met Nessie or Champ, but I
Right.
do have them here.
Yeah.
I made that.
And Jamie made it.
Well, you know, the
Katie
study of
Elizabeth
hidden
is
animals,
very happy
right?
I had that.
The study of hidden animals is what
But is it
cryptozoology-
a true field of study? Like you can get a degree?
I'm sure you can.
Okay.
I don't think
I don't know if people
It's
are
not going to be
self-proclaimed.
accredited by anybody, but you can get one,
Yeah.
right? But I mean, it doesn't make it any less of a reputable science.
I'm
Steve Ward. No, that's
I
not Steve Ward
literally-
because Mothman 46 was on
That's
my.
not-
Here's what
That's
I feel
not
like.
Steve
I
Ward.
feel like this. I feel like that you could be the most basic person. You could be the boots on the ground person that could come up with the answer, the next picture,
That's
the
not
next.
just basic.
Sure.
You don't need a degree. You really don't need these titles. Like I mean, I'm impressed with titles, but they don't always impress me. Like
Right.
sometimes people that have these titles are just pretentious and
And they're more wrong
Egos,
than they're
too.
right.
yes, and it's okay to be
Exactly.
wrong.
And the problem I
Just
have
accept
with
it.
that is that I'm a researcher investigator,
Sure.
combined. I'm not putting no other title on myself. I'm not a cryptozoologist.
Well, let's be honest. The labels that are made are to make certain people feel better about themselves,
Right.
to elevate themselves and their status with this. I think we could all be comfortable calling ourselves a researcher, whether it's from an armchair in the field. Listen, I know some very good armchair researchers
So do I.
that are worth a hell of a lot more than people that go out in the woods and beat a stick on a tree.
Mm.
I'm just saying, like, it doesn't, just because you call yourself something doesn't mean it really amounts
Like
to
Henry, for
correct.
one, is like major. He knows
Absolutely.
his history.
Yeah.
He knows
Henry,
every
that-
book.
and that's
Like,
what
that
I was
impresses
telling
me.
Sean.
And without having that recall, like, we're just going out to repeat the same things over and over again. That's why I said it's important for you to know the history and appreciate where it's been. So
You can move forward.
Like
because
Henry,
it's-
honestly, Henry has read so many books. He could put together something like a puzzle. There could be something said
Yeah.
in this book that he could remember in another book and be like, "This is really a pattern."
sure.
Like
And we're talking about Henry May.
Henry May,
Yeah.
yes, and like should be definitely praised because Henry is one of those people.
Yes, and Henry
Contributors-
is, and it's
He's in Bill's personal new Four Horsemen. It really is.
Yeah, I mean,
he is. He's one of my
contribution-
new four horsemen.
I would put him-
and because of that,
What you contribute is very unique to each person.
another big contributor, and some people might disagree with me, is Russell Easterbrook. He's done a lot of research, and now with his health issues, he is very much armchair and doing
That's not a
research.
bad thing.
No, it's
It's
not.
not. It really
And,
isn't.
and I do look at Russell Easterbrook on a lot of information too, because he has it. He has that knowledge.
There's so many good ones. Like Kevin
Yeah.
Larson's a good
Yeah,
information
but
guy.
I ain't saying-
and he's in the field.
I'm not saying he's one of the new four horsemen, but he's one of the knowledgeable
Well, and
ones
you know,
out
a Four
there.
Horsemen's always going to be something personal to you. Bill, you can have your Mount Rushmore,
Yeah.
whoever you want. Nobody can tell you wrong because it's what you feel.
Yeah, it's
Right.
your
And that's
personal-
perfectly okay.
And
Yeah, Jamie's up there for me. I'm just
Jamie?
saying.
Kevin.
he's up there for me too.
I have my people
I'm
that
partial though.
I wouldn't even call it. There are people I trust and respect and admire for many different reasons. And
Many
they're
different-
on my
I agree with you,
paradigm
yes.
of people that I hold in high esteem.
Yes.
And not
Yes.
everybody's going to agree with that, but I don't give a damn because they're who I hold in esteem. and who I-
Some of my favorite people in this like cryptid unknown world are the vendors.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah,
Let's be
there's
real.
some cool
I said this
vendors. Oh.
before.
But they have an appreciation and a love for the subject.
Yes, and it's
Yeah.
a passion that shows
That's
through.
right.
It shows
And
through.
an
Right.
art. Yes.
Right.
And what's
but,
more personal than art?
Yes.
Yeah,
but the thing is too,
and collecting it,
Mhm.
buying it.
it's the vendors that had an experience too.
Something's
Yeah.
changed. Something made them want to create.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that's a
And,
great thing. This has
I'm
been all
going to
over
use
the
him
place.
as an example. And he's going to be one of my sponsors for Paranormal Conference. It's John Turley.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Pro Town
Town
Sponsors.
Sponsors,
Yeah. He had a
Great people.
experience. He's a damn good friend too. Me and him become really good friends. But
And Beth's a sweetie.
oh yeah, Beth. Oh my God, love her
And
too.
his mom, and I'm sorry for his
His mom's too. Oh yes.
In the 28 years I've done this, and the people, it's always been the people I've met that have made me love this subject more than the matter.
Do you realize
Yeah.
you're one of the first people we met? You're one of the first
Yeah.
people. Jenny and I drove.
I'm sorry about that.
Oh,
I
no,
mean, I
literally,
can't fix that.
Our encounter happened, and we
You're
drove.
spinning.
We drove almost 80. I would say 80 miles for us to
Yeah,
talk to somebody.
he was telling me about.
Yeah, I talked to you about that
Yeah.
tonight.
Yeah.
You were the person.
Nothing.
And
And you were dismissed by people before that.
Yes.
Yeah, you
yes.
were, and it's just we're brought together for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, we are woven to intersect at some points, and it's to teach each other something.
Isn't it
or to
strange?
grow.
Like we're in the same room today talking about this.
It is.
And you told me this, Sean. You said the same thing to me. What you just said. Jamie keeps saying that and Brian Seach too.
Brian.
We're all brought together for a reason.
Sure.
And
Synchronicity.
you know, it's curiosity.
Synchronicity.
Oh, I thought that curiosity.
Curiosity too.
There's probably something more than that, even.
If
Yeah,
this was a
for real.
sitcom,
Yes.
it'd be a very interesting sitcom.
It would be.
There's some characters, that I would like to
Mhm.
make her one of them.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I met him 20.
Marie Barnick said, I'm sorry, said, I'm a Dawn Gerd armchair researcher. I'm patient and nosy. I dig to tie things together. Oh, an Italian female. We don't let things go.
But there's merit
Yes.
to that, right? Like,
Yes.
There are many times I depended on an armchair researcher to get me information because I just don't have the time to. I can call, hey, Henry, what can you get me on this? And I kind of need it, what can you get me on this? Well, sure thing, Sean. And then I have it like in a couple days.
I
Yeah.
like people that observe. Good observation. I would consider us observers, like not even researchers. We're observing the field. I call all of what we do the field.
Right.
So when I say I'm going out into the field, it's a field of body of work that we're.
And it's not just Bigfoot or C Seti. It could be just about anything.
It could be a haunted building. It could
Yeah,
be.
exactly. And, I started my group, and a lot of people know me from the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project. Yes, I still in the Bigfoot. I still belong to the group. I'm not a admin or anything like that. But I always believed in all this other, the paranormal, all the cryptids, even the UFOs, the UAPs. I've seen it. I've seen ghosts. Call me crazy because I've seen this stuff.
You're crazy. Okay.
No,
This has
no,
been all over. This has been way all over the place tonight. It's
so,
been good.
And getting in with the C Seti stuff,
Yeah.
I'm really down with that because at a very young age, I was a teenager when I first saw a UFO. So yeah,
Well, Bill, we can do this for you. Like, we'll come to your page, and we will put out a date where we can have people meet, and we will share the protocol that we know and that we're comfortable sharing with people, and just invite people to have an open mind and like a good, clear channel
right,
to connect.
and
And
I'll
it is
make sure
frequency.
they know that.
Yeah, I mean, like we would
you got to
explain
have that open mind and clear channel, or
And meditation's not
And
for
hard.
everyone. So
And
you
it
got to
is-
be
sometimes
really a
it's really
person
hard
that can.
for people to
It's true.
meditate,
It's a lot of focus.
but
It's
it is
very
part
focused,
of
yeah.
the protocols, meditation.
But I want to learn that because I have a problem with the focus. Damn it. I have a
I think we
problem.
all do at times.
I
you should have
problem.
your badge on.
I should. Only because we're not officially sponsored, and I don't want to get in trouble for espousing views that may conflict with a corporate entity.
Well, I don't have no corporate sponsors yet.
Neither do I, Bill. Neither do I.
So let me talk to you about no. But no, seriously, Well, from that night I went out with you guys, you know how I really want to get more and more into this and to learn more from it. Now, there's a lot to learn there too.
It's
We're all
fascinating.
learning.
It really is.
We're
And
all
the more I
students.
talk to them, the
Students.
more I want to learn it too.
Yeah.
I really do. I want to shed some of the conventional and try something different.
Yeah.
We're all students, and we're all learning
Yeah,
from one
every
another,
day.
which is the cool
Every day
thing.
we're students.
This convention just keeps us spinning
There's no
in
good.
the same circle.
Yes.
And in 60 years, we've been in this study. We're no closer solving it today than we were 60 years ago. And the best piece of evidence we have is a 53-year-old piece of film, which could still be a man in a costume.
It
We
could.
don't
We
know.
don't
Well,
know. We
I'm
really
sorry.
don't know.
I'm going to
I
argue
love
with you
Patty.
on that.
And I
I
love.
will argue to the day I die.
Yeah, but there's no
So
way
when
to
I
discern.
saw 15 feet away was not a man in a costume.
No, I agree with that. But I mean, our biggest piece of evidence we've been holding on to for so long is a film that could be,
Yeah,
Could be.
I know, but I'm just saying.
a man in a costume.
Well, it's a woman.
Or a woman. Well, it's so we've been having transgender, things for a long time now. Think about that.
Nah.
Or it just could be a dude with like larger.
Oh,
Did you
I
see a
think
wang?
it's-
I didn't see a
no.
wang.
Wang, I didn't see
I'm sorry,
Really-
but has that big of a chest area
yeah. It's,
that's flopping in the breeze.
We would have saw the wang.
Nobody. If you've
and
seen
there was no
pictures of
wang,
that,
and those
Get
things
a hold of
like
Bill.
this.
We just officially went to the
okay, I
crazy
think
side.
we
We
should,
did.
We went to
We should,
R-rated.
get some food.
Yeah. Hey, this is a P&G rated podcast.
Patterson Gimlin.
Patterson
Yes.
Gimlin.
Yep,
Yep.
exactly.
PG.
You know, I said that for like my first 6 podcasts. No one caught on. And I can't remember who it was. They said, Patterson Gimlin? I went, yes, it is. Ding, 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 winner. but anyhow, we've been at it for almost an hour and a half.
Yep.
Sean got a long ride home.
Just a little bit.
Yep.
And so he can get a couple hours sleep to get back on the road.
On the road.
And Sean, I'm so happy you stopped.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I am. I was pleased.
This
to be
is a
able to
great
do this.
surprise.
Yeah. And Jami and
Happy
Jenny.
birthday to
You-
us.
Yeah, happy birthday to you guys. Thank you
Thank you, Bill.
so much for coming
Thank you,
here
Bill.
and
Thank you,
being
Sean.
in studio.
Oh, thank you. Seriously, thanks for letting me sit on this and ask you guys questions. This is the most I've had a chance to talk to you about this in
Yeah.
an interview type setting. And it was really energizing, and you really brought a lot out of me to do that.
June says, great show.
Jan, we love you.
Yay. I get
And
it.
And Karen, if she's watching.
Maria said her saying was definitely male.
Thanks, Maria. Send those pics to Bill Rigby.
Yeah.
And
No, I don't want to know how it looks. No, there is a gay waiter at the one restaurant I go to keeps asking me,
we can
but
have
we
him
won't
look.
go there.
You can have him look. It's just a penis, Bill.
Yeah.
It's just a penis.
It's an appendage.
June said she loves you guys too,
Love you.
and Karen said she loves you.
Love you.
Here's my ET finger.
But folks, thank you for listening in on my
Thank you,
mentors and
everybody.
Sean. And I let Sean kind of take over the questions because
It was great.
I'm like, he had better questions than I did.
Bill, you just tell me to shut up and take over.
Oh,
This is natural for me. I'm sorry.
I know. I was not. You did a great job, man, with the questions.
It's great guests that make it happen.
Very great guest, and
Really.
all 3 of them. And I'm happy all 3
And
were
the
here.
hostess of the mostest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys, love yous all.
Thank you.
Yous,
Bill.
yous were
You
great.
too, Bill.
The guests were great. The audience was great. Oh yeah.
And
Oh.
really, technically, you wouldn't wear this to a C Seti meditation because you want them to read
Yeah,
your
you
mind.
want to.
But we don't want them coming in on.
You don't want to mess up the vibes.
I'm
We
more
don't
of a
want them
saran
coming-
wrap guy myself.
Well, this could be an antenna too. I guess.
We don't want them coming in the middle of our podcast and crashing.
Oh,
That's
that
why
would
we
be kind
wore
of
this.
cool, though.
Yeah, would take that off. We want them here.
Give them to your grandkids.
I will. But thank you, folks. It has been a great show. I'm going to hit my outro. You all take care. Be nice, be safe, and remember, they are out there.
This has been an Agents of the Unexplained original podcast. Like us on Facebook, subscribe and view on YouTube, and please visit our store link in the bio. Thank you for listening, and remember that paranormal is the new normal.